Kumusta inyong kahintang? Kumusta inyong kahintang? Diha sa singin. Ha? Hello mga convincers, saang mang panig ng mundo kayo naroon ngayon. Sana ay nasa mabuti kayong kalagayan. Welcome sa Usapang Pera Live at tayo ay mag-aaral ngayon sa ating pera-aralan. Ako si Sir Vince, ang inyong teacher. So ngayong gabi, ang pag-uusapan natin ay tungkol sa pagbili ng sasakyan. No? Kung mas maganda bang bumili ng brand new car or second-hand car. At I remember ako, no, I started driving. Tinuruan ako mag-drive, I think nung ako ay grade 5 sa probinsya. Kasi kami dati ay may furniture business, yung aking parents, at maraming mga truck sa bahay, no? So, ang pinag-aralan namin ay tinatakas namin yung mga truck paminsan. Tapos doon kami nag-aaral sa my school. So, yun. And then, I think I was able to buy our first car in 2006 or 2005. Hindi, 2006 pero 2005 model yon. No? Tapos ngayon, we are on our fourth car. Kakatapos lang namin siyang bayaran. Kaya buti na lang no, maayos ang bawas na ulit ang mga bayarin, no? Kasi mahal magkasasakyan. So yan ang pag-uusapan natin. At syempre, bago tayo magpatuloy, plug muna tayo. Tayo po ay nasa Spotify na. So if you want to follow me on Spotify, you just go to bit.ly/Sirvince and you will be able to listen to my podcasts there. Tapos mamaya naman, kung mayroon kayong mga tanong tungkol sa sasakyan o kahit na anong mga gusto nyong ipa-advise tungkol sa pera, you can join us in our live hangout question and answer portion, bit.ly/AskSirvince200829. At syempre, bago tayo magpatuloy, tayo muna ay babati sa ating mga kasama ngayong araw na ito. At kung saang galing na bansa ang ating mga viewers. So Beatrice, hello sa'yo. B. Batino from Dubai, shout out sa'yo. Jeffrey from Saudi Arabia, hello sa'yo. Owen, nako Saudi Arabia din. Nako kayo mga taga-Saudi, abangan niyo po kasi September 4, 5 p.m. nyo dyan ay mayroon tayong webinar, no, na i-host ng isang organization who invited me to talk about financial management for OFWs there. Uy! Watching from Australia, si Jocelyn, hello sa'yo. Ayun, mukhang makaka-relate daw si Jeffrey ngayon. Sige Jeffrey, kung makaka-relate ka nga, go live with us, makipagkwentuhan ka sa amin. At si Anna naman ay watching from Oman. Si Vert ay sa Kuwait. O yan ha, Vert, na shoutout na kita. Nasa Paco, Manila si Trixie. Si Totakhar Stories. Oy, Brazil! First time ko makabasa na may nanonood sa atin from Brazil. Natutuwa ako meron from South America, no? So si Luchi is also with us, si Belle from Singapore, si Rose from UK. Oy, si Rose Tordil, nababasa ko yung pangalan mo. Isa ka sa mga social investors natin. So maraming salamat, Rose. Ayan, na-shoutout na kita. Grabe naman to. Ayan. At si Michael ay nasa Bahrain. So hello sa inyong lahat. Naku, weekend yata talaga ngayon na maraming mga nanonood sa atin. Meron tayong 242 viewers ngayon. So tignan natin kung tayo ba ay dadami or iiwan sa ating episode na ito, no? So I'm very happy in this episode kasi yun nga sasakyan na pag-uusapan natin, no? So sagutin nyo nga ako sa comment section kung ano yung sasakyan na nabili na ninyo at ilang taon nyo itong binayaran. Curious lang ako. So if you could write down the brand and then the model of the car, tapos ilang taon nyo siyang binayaran. Kasi ako, when the first car that we bought ay 5 years namin siyang binayaran. Tapos yung second, third, and fourth car ay binayaran naman namin ng 3 years na lang. Hindi yun yung pagka yung mga magulang ko kasi ay kunwari nangangailangan ng sasakyan ganyan. Baka isipin niyo, "Uy, grabe naman. 2 lang sila sa bahay, 4 ang sasakyan." Hindi, pag kumare sila mama hihirit ng sasakyan, o ibibigay ko yung luma kong sasakyan para ako yung may bago. Oh, di ba? Ayun. So sasabihin na naman nila sa comment ay sana all. Ayan. Okay, si Dexter from La Union, Arnold, UAE. Hello sa'yo. Okay, sabi ni Happy, ang kanyang binili ay Toyota Avanza, 5 years to pay. Si Michael ay Honda Civic naman for 5 years din to pay. Okay. Itong isa naman, si Russell Mirage, 2015. Patapos na. O, di ba? Yes! Ang saya talaga pag wala nang binabayaran. Everest. Ano ba yung Everest? Ford Everest, 4 years to pay naman, yung kay Judy. Tapos, Aquino, ay si Marivic ay Innova. Wow, for 1 year lang niya binayaran. Uy, si Jeffrey, second-hand Kia Picanto, 2011 model, 2 years paid loan financing. Okay? Si Totakar, ano ba yan? Totakar ba talaga? Toyota Avanza 2019 naman siya, no? So, nakakaaliw, ang dami nating kasama ngayong gabi, ano? At ito, second hand din si Pedro. Si Pedro, second hand Mitsubishi Adventure cash. At nako, alam niyo ba, si Pedro ang tumama kung paano bumili ng sasakyan. Okay. So, yan yung natin ngayon at napaka-swerte natin ngayong gabi kasi ay meron tayong guest. At itong guest natin ay isang negosyante, isa siyang Cebuana at nag-organize siya ng mga pop-up events. So sa Cebu, kung narinig nyo na ang Pop District Bazaar, ang Sugbo Mercado, the Market Street Food, yan, organizer siya dan. Tapos meron din siyang creative agency na ang pangalan ay Dual Story. At kanina nga kausap ko lang siya at sabi niya ay mayroon siyang ginagawa with outlet shops doon sa Cebu, no, promoting their products online. O yan. So si Carmaine de Leon ay actually nakilala ko siya dahil pareho kaming na-feature sa 8list.ph na mga Filipino YouTubers. O di ba? Ang lakas makamillennial. Grabe. So na-excite talaga ako. So minessage ko yung mga kabataan na nandun, yung mga medyo tigulang na, dili ko na sila gi-message, ano? Ang mga bata pa. Okay. So yes, included si Enchong D. Pero unfortunately, hindi pa siya sumasagot. Tignan natin kung sasagot siya. At so last time, si Nicole ang kasama natin. So ngayon naman ay si Charm ang kasama natin. So hello sa'yo, Charm. Kamusta ka?
Hi! Yes.
Ayan. Kumusta ang, sandali, meron akong minemorize kanina. Kamusta ang kahimtang nimo diha sa Cebu? Oo. So, kamusta nga kayo dyan sa Cebu ngayon?
Getting better. Hopefully, it continues, diba? So, tuloy-tuloy lang, yeah.
Okay. So I was really intrigued by by this topic kasi when I saw our names on 8list, so na-curious ako agad, tinignan ko, sino ba yung mga kasama ko dyan? Tapos nakita nga kita and I saw your YouTube video, which is this one, no? Watch this before buying a car. So ito yung advice mo kung kung bibili ng sasakyan. Okay, pero tanong nga muna natin, Charm. So, bakit ito yung naging topic mo?
Okay. I think when I started my YouTube channel, I focused kasi on adulting, hacks, personal
Mhm.
finance, and I really wanted to share how I personally bought my car because when I
Mhm.
was shopping for a car, I found that what I did was so much cheaper than the rest of the options, and I don't know
Aha.
why not more people were doing it. So I
Right.
wanted to shed some light on it. Yeah.
Okay, sige. So, ang maganda lang dito is you are speaking out of your experience at
Yeah.
hindi ito sabi-sabi lang, hindi ito guni-guni, kumbaga, ano? So, yun. So, but in general, Charm, no? Why do people buy cars? Ikaw,
Um,
mismo, bakit ka bumili?
yeah. Ako personally is because I live in a house and medyo I have to, my nature of work is I really drive around the city because I hop from, well, pre-COVID, I hop from
Mhm.
one meeting to another. So it wasn't very sustainable also for me to keep on, let's say, keep on riding a taxi, like,
Aha.
5, 6 taxi rides a day. So it wasn't very sustainable. So I found that buying a car would be much convenient and also
Mhm.
practical in my case. So yeah.
Okay. Sige. So kasi ito actually yung nakita naman namin, no, kapag when people buy car, actually status symbol na siya kasi ngayon. So it's an aspiration. Kasabay ng condominium, no? Status symbol na siya. Security and convenience to your families, and in your case for your work, ano, hindi na siya practical, sabi mo nga. So that's for convenience, and then freedom and mobility. So these are the main reasons daw why people buy cars. So tell us, Charm, no, how can we buy a car? Ano yung mga iba't ibang options natin? At
Yeah.
Charm, sabi nila medyo mahina daw yung audio mo. If you can turn your audio louder.
Okay, sige. Uh, okay. Okay, is it better? I can wear
Your
microphone,
headset.
headset para you guys can hear better. Yeah. So, in
Sige.
my yeah, so sorry. Sana tinas ko lang.
Ganyan
If my
talaga kapag live
yeah.
tayo, no? So,
Yeah.
yun. Maraming salamat kay Nelson, kay Joseph, at saka Happy na nagsabi sa atin na humina yan. No? Kasi ganyan talaga kapag nasa community tayo, nagtutulungan kung paano mai-improve ang ating mga live shows kasi ganun po talaga mahirap ang technicals natin. No? So, habang nagpe-prepare si Charm, babati muna tayo ulit. Sabi ni Joseph, okay, si Joseph, housing naman ang inuna daw niya sa pag-ibig. Kasi tapos ang susunod na goal nila ay sa car. Totoo naman yan, Joseph, no? Kasi I think ang nangyayari talaga dapat ay kung ano yung priority ninyo sa inyong family, yun yung uunahin. So, yan talaga yung dapat na na gagawin natin. Ayan. Okay, sige.
Is
So,
it better na? I hope it's better na, no? I can't hear
yes.
myself kasi yeah. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, I mentioned some ways to buy a car in my video
Mhm.
kasi like there are 4 ways. Obviously, the most famous is from the dealership, brand new,
Mhm.
'di ba? Yeah, so
Yeah.
brand new from the dealership. Of course, with this also the price is really premium because you're getting a brand new car at the year model is usually either this year or parang 1 year old lang more or less, 'di ba? So and this is also the most expensive way to buy a car. Majority of the times you get those promo deals na parang
Mhm.
ang liit ng down payment but then you don't realize ang laki ng loan after it. So that
Correct.
was one. I checked that out as well. And then the other three are basically all second hand. So
Yeah.
for one is second hand but through dealers then. So
Mhm.
may mga businesses kasi talaga na they're a dealer of second-hand various second-hand cars, no, not necessarily
Mhm.
the brand. Okay, and then
Uh-huh.
second-hand through the free market. So this is
Okay.
Facebook Marketplace or yung before sa OLX, which is parang carousel na right now, 'di ba? So parang online mga auto websites then. So and then lastly, the fourth one is the second hand but repossessed. So meaning
Mhm.
you mostly buy this from the banks
Uh-huh.
directly, usually from financial institutions who loaned out money for cars. Yeah.
Okay. So interesting no that you mentioned na of course yung pinakauna talaga is a brand new. Yung sa amin naman before dati when we buy cars at aminado ako na this is one where we could improve. So the next time that we will buy ito na yung ituturo natin yung gagawin namin. Pero we used to buy brand new cars pero we make sure na 3 years old na yung model, parang pa-phase out na. So, pag ganon, mas malaki yung nakukuha namin na discount. Tapos may iba pa akong mga friends na they buy the display cars. So,
Yeah. Those are parang the super brand new talaga.
Right, oo. But Charm, why is it more practical to buy a second-hand car compared to a brand new car?
Okay. For me kasi, I don't really consider a car an asset. Yes, it can help you with your day-to-day tasks. It can make it more convenient. The reasons you stated earlier. But in reality, it's not an asset unless you are using it for car rental or taxi or in your business, diba? So I was using it for personal use. So I opted for the cheaper option talaga because I'm medyo kuripot in the right ways naman, parang ganun. So I wanted something that's hindi naman parang it's gonna break down anytime. So I felt like second-hand car that's just around less than 5 years old was the best path for me. Yeah.
Right.
So,
yeah. Good thing that you mentioned no, na hindi asset yung car unless it earns income, no? So kapag ginagamit siya for rental, for example, or for taxi, then it becomes an asset, kumbaga, in a philosophical way, no? So what are the true costs of buying a car? You were talking about hindi nga siya asset because it doesn't appreciate in value. So what struck me in your video is that sinabi mo na mabilis ang depreciation, no? So ano ba yung depreciation sa sasakyan?
Yeah. Just to give you an example, if you are buying a brand new car, the moment you drive out of the lot or yung kasa, instantly 10%, minus 10% already. Meaning, if you decide to resell it the next day, for example, it's 1 million. Tomorrow, it's gonna be 900,000 na lang. Diba? Even if like it's almost brand new, ganon. Kasi majority of the people who buy it brand new also buy it in the casa because of the experience din kasi, diba? So it's really different if you're buying it in a dealership. Also the security, like it's directly under your name agad, wala ka ng hassle to transfer and everything. So 10% as soon as you take it out of the dealer, and then every year it also depreciates in value. So yeah.
So actually na-interest ako doon, no? So I researched at ang lumabas nga ay in 5 years 63% of the value of the car is actually already depreciated daw. And in our accounting practice nga 10 years usually ang depreciation yan. So within 10 years, fully depreciated na yung sasakyan. Okay. And then you also mentioned about maintenance and fuel. So how is it like? Ano ba yung cost of maintaining and ano yung fuel?
Yeah. So when I was deciding on my car, I was also considering na is this car gonna be taking up much fuel, because 'di ba yung mostly malalaki na cars, they take up more fuels, 'di ba, than the smaller cars. So and also the maintenance, is it an expensive brand wherein if you need to change some pieces in the car, if something breaks down in 5 years or more, is it gonna be expensive to buy those materials? Kasi before buying my own car, I drove our family car, which was like 25 years old na when I was driving it. So it was quite old for a car, di ba? And every year, I was spending 20,000 pesos on my car kasi everything was parang nasisira na, ganon. Of course, because it's also old. Pero in the long term, I was looking at that, like, is the cost to maintain much more expensive, diba? So I bought a really economical car. So yeah.
Right, oo. And good thing na sinasabi mo nga na yung maintenance ay talagang hindi kasi yan na-factor in lalong-lalo ng mga first-time buyers, no?
Yeah.
And dati, you were saying your car that you were using 25 years old siya. So thumbs up for you on that because that's very good for the environment, no? Dahil yun, yung ano to? Pag-extract ng material for that ay gamit na gamit talaga siya. Kasi kami dati, nung kabataan namin, when we were your age, how old are you? I'm sorry to ask this question. How old are you now?
I'm 26.
26. Okay. In 2004, I was also 26. Oo, kasi, hindi, 2005. 27 ako nung nakabili ako ng sasakyan, pero brand new yon. Tapos, ang ano nga namin, natatawa kami kasi when we look back, ay ang sabi namin dati, oy, every 3 years tayo bumili, magpalit ng sasakyan. So, parang, oh my God, napaka-burgis and napaka-impractical pala niya, no? So, ngayon, actually, ang ini-espouse namin ay, when you buy a car, at the minimum, dapat ito ay magamit mo for 20 years. So, yun yung no. And then another cost na hindi na-integrate usually ng mga first-time buyers ay itong insurance. So, do you pay insurance for your car?
Yes. So, when I finally bought my own car, it was the first time I got an own damage insurance. So, di ba, meron dalawa, like if people hit you accidentally and if you cause the damage. So, that's when I covered both of those na. Because in my older car, I could only afford to buy the required by the LTO, di ba? So, yeah, I also pay for insurance. I think it was around 10 to 12,000 ata. Yeah.
Oo.
Yeah.
So yan din. At saka ito nga, ang pinakamalaki din ay actually itong parking cost. No? Lalo na sa Cebu, no? Sa Metro Cebu, nagbabayad. Dito sa Pilipinas I remember nung college kami, may mga friends ako who would have their own cars. Pero nung nagtrabaho na kami, give up nila yung kanilang sasakyan because they work in Makati, and if they paid for the parking space in Makati, abonado pa sila kumpara sa sweldo nila, no? So these are the costs, no? In your case, when you bought your car, did you get a loan from the bank?
I did not get a loan directly from a bank. What I did was I loaned from a close family friend. So I would not advise this for everyone. It was a special case because we were really close. Like at one point, he was living with us. So parang there's this gratitude between us ba. So what I did is he had a condominium and he was saving up to pay for the lump sum. So instead of keeping that money in the bank, I told him na, okay, I'll borrow money to buy the car and then I'll pay you with a little interest that's cheaper than what the financial institutions offer. So it was kind of a win-win because he gets to earn a bit more and I had to pay a little less. So
Okay, so at least may middle ground, no? But that's also one of the things that you have to consider when buying a car. Kasi when you buy it from a financial institution or in your case from a friend, meron pa rin yung dagdag na interest, okay?
Yeah.
Gusto ko lang I'm bringing in Weng here. Ang sabi niya, what about buying a brand new car but you maximize by using it to the ground like 10 years or more? Is it a good strategy?
Okay. For me kasi it really depends. I'm not saying that buying a brand new car is it's really bad. It's just like in my personal financial goals, I wanted kasi to save up also for a condo. So I was thinking na okay, this 150,000 pesos that I might be saving, I'll use it na lang to, save for my assets talaga. Kasi like I'm planning to buy a condo for rental kasi. So, that was my personal financial goals. Of course naman, there are plenty of pros also with buying a brand new car. For one, you are assured that it's in great condition, diba? So, for me naman, it's not necessarily bad as long as you really get something out of it. You maximize it. Yeah.
At saka iba-iba talaga kasi tayo ng gusto din, malay natin yung sasakyan talaga makakapagpasaya kay Weng. Pero Weng, ang advice ko lang hindi lang 10 years. 20 years.
20
Lalo-lalo na
years.
lalo-lalo na kung brand new car.
Yeah.
Okay, so now let's go into this, no? How do we choose a second-hand car? No, ako admittedly, I haven't bought one. But yun nga yung sabi ko sa'yo, talagang the next time that we need a car, and that would be for 17 years pa, no? Kasi 20 years nga yung sasakyan. So, second-hand yung kukunin namin. But how do we choose a second-hand car?
For me, really, you really have to check the vehicle. Like, for example, when I bought my car, konti pa lang yung warehouses sa Cebu. Like, we only had like mga 3 siguro. So, my other option was to order from Manila, pero I have to ship it, which is additional cost, and I can't check it personally, diba? So, for me, I would really advise for you to really check it. If you can test drive it, much better, diba? Majority of the warehouses, if it's a repossessed car, they don't necessarily maintain it anymore because that's also extra cost for the banks, diba, to maintain that. But if they outsource a dealer, then majority of the time the car is really in good shape. So if you can test drive it, if you know, kasi if cars, especially for example, if it's a manual car, it's different yung clutch for every car. So are you comfortable with it? Ganon. Are there leaks? You just check the floor. Are there leaks ba? Bring a mechanic friend, which is what I did in my final visit. So,
okay.
yeah.
So let's go step by step, no, yung ano natin. Like what I watched in your video, ang first step mo na sinabi mo is we should know what we need, no, in our car. So ano ba yung need na ina-address nung sasakyan?
Yeah. So, for example, if city driving ka lang, then sedan is no problem, 'di ba? But if you go to the province a lot, you go off-roads a lot, then you'll need a bigger car with bigger wheels, diba? So that's usually like the type of car. Okay, brand preference also, like for me personally, I prefer Japanese cars. Our family really owns Toyota since the beginning of time. Toyota, Mitsubishi, ganon. And okay lang to mention brands, no? Parang issue. But
alam mo, marinig nila tayo at sponsor nila, okay ako dyan.
Exactly. Yeah. So, or meron ding iba, they prefer Korean cars, ganon. And then also, like, this is more technical, but like the engine size. So, like I mentioned earlier, if city driving ka lang, no problem, the smaller engine sizes, like 1 to 1.3. And then, if you go, you go uphill, you live in the hills or mountains, ganon. So, you need a much bigger engine, usually. Diba? So it depends on the lifestyle also of the user. So
yeah, and then you also said nga na yun, to do the research in scouting for the second-hand cars. So ano yung mga kailangan natin i-research para sa second-hand cars na yan?
Yeah. So for this, so majority kasi of the time when you're buying a second-hand car, I'm telling you guys, majority is research talaga. Like because you have to check may issues ba yung car, ganon. But also like, yung important here, I think, is the fair market value. So when I was buying my car, I was already eyeing kasi a specific car. I was eyeing for a Toyota Vios. So I checked how much it is brand new. I checked how much it is in Facebook. I checked how much it is in yung mga dealer or authorized dealer ng second-hand cars para I can properly, I like kasi doing like the pros and cons, diba? So, always check the fair market value para hindi ka diba? Hindi ka ma-scam. Parang ganun. So, yeah.
Sabi mo din, i-check for the availability of the units, no? So, how do you do this?
Online. You can actually do almost all the research online on your phone or at home lang. So all the the repossessed cars ng mga banks, they're also listed online. And majority of the time, they're updated either every day or every week. So they're very quick to update it because also they want all the cars to be sold as fast as possible. That's why it's also very cheap. Diba? So banks want to be liquid as liquid as possible. So yeah.
Ayun. So and then you said the third step is to do the due diligence, no? At itong due diligence, yun na nakapili na, kita mo na available yung unit. So this is the next thing that you do. So can
Yeah.
you explain to us your experience in doing your due
Uh,
diligence?
yeah. So these things, no, I really did this. I really personally went to, I think, three or four warehouses. One bank has a lot of warehouse kasi here. So when you go there, expect the car to be dirty, the
Mhm.
interiors to be dirty, maalikabok, 'di ba? Abog jud na siya. So um, you you don't get discouraged with that because that's normal. That doesn't really play much part on the actual condition of the car if it's just dirty, diba? So also if you're not very familiar with cars, then with every visit, I recommend for you to really bring a mechanic. In my
Mhm.
case, I was a bit knowledgeable about cars. Both
Mhm.
the guys in our family love cars, so I already knew what I had to look out for. And then on my final checking, like I had to double check na lang. That's when I brought a friend who is a mechanic, 'di ba? And
Aha.
then mechanics have fees for this, but if it's just a friend, then maybe you can send them a gift, ganon. And then if
Ah,
ikaw lang pumunta, yun, check the leaks, if meron ba sa
ah,
floor. So, yeah. And majority pala of the time, if the banks, walang battery. Like the battery is
ah,
dead. That's why I
ah,
said na if you have a chance to test drive it, that's great. But sometimes wala talaga. So you have to
mm,
buy a new battery and you can't really test drive it then. So yeah.
okay. And then you also talked about the service history and the mileage of the car to check it. So ano
Yeah.
ba tong ba to?
Yeah, so for the mileage, that's how many miles the car has been driven or kilometers in the Philippines. So
Mhm.
obviously kung mas mahaba, it's been used a lot. Like, majority of the cars that are repossessed are yung mga ginagamit ng Uber before, Grab, di ba? Tapos hindi na nila kaya because the income cannot sustain their loan. So
Right.
obviously these cars have high mileages because they are driven around all day. So
Mm.
that's also part of the wear and tear of the car.
Aha.
So
Right.
yeah, and then another is they have these service booklet, so you can
Mm.
check the service history if the previous owner ba is diligent in servicing their cars. But since
Aha.
these cars, since the previous owners went delinquent on their loans, you can't
Aha.
really expect all of these. But it's nice to have if, you know, they were responsible enough to do these things, diba? So,
Right.
yeah.
Oo. So, okay. So, nagawa na natin yung due diligence natin. Napili na natin yung sasakyan. So, you said the next step is to negotiate with the bank, no? Or dun sa nagbebenta ng second hand. So, paano ba ito ginagawa? I was particularly interested when you were saying may bid and wait, tapos may difference yung spot price versus bidding price. Can you
Yeah.
explain these concepts to us?
Yeah, so basically, parang the cars are kind of auctioned kasi. So,
Mhm.
if you don't want to, the spot price is usually higher than the bidding price. So, if you will
Mhm.
if you will offer spot price, the banks will already accept it kaagad. So, no more
Mhm.
bidding. But if you want
Ah,
to save some more, because the difference in price is also around 20 to 50,000, if you want to
aha.
save further, you can bid. So when you
Mhm.
bid, you have to pay like a bidding offer. It's usually around
Aha.
5 to 10,000 pesos. Pero if may
Mhm.
someone who bids more than you and they get accepted, nasosole naman yung 5 or 10,000 pesos mo. Yeah.
Okay.
So wala ka namang like loss talaga. They just want to make sure that you're serious about your bid.
Aha.
So
Aha.
yeah.
And then yung pag nag-bid ka din, pag ikaw nakakuha, ibabawas ba nila yon sa babayaran mo?
Yeah, they deduct that and then you have to pay na lang for
Aha.
the rest.
Ayan. So with the banks, merong spot price at saka yung bidding price. And then how long will you have to wait para malaman mo na, oh, ikaw yung nanalo sa bidding?
Yeah. So what I did with the car that I wanted, I actually waited a few weeks to check if meron bang nagbibid, parang hot item ba to? So when I
Ah,
realized that it wasn't, so I tried to bid. And then when I bid, actually like they just have to wait I think 2 days. Like
aha.
parang may cut off lang kasi ng bidding, and then if nobody else bids, then you get awarded the car na.
Ah,
So
oo.
yeah.
So patience actually really pays off, no, in this case. Tapos, since you got it from a bank, no, kasi mas sabi mo nga mas okay kapag repossessed from a bank, yan, no. Ano yung mga financing options na available? Kapag full payment mo ba yun na kinuha, may discount ba ulit na makukuha, or what's it like?
Yeah. Banks usually really prefer spot cash. Like you pay the full price in cash, which is why I borrowed money from a family friend. Pero if you want to refinance it or take up an auto loan, of course, meron yung interest. So, I'm not sure right now kasi like that was 2 years ago. Pero my bank kasi 2 years ago did not offer a loan option. So, yeah. So, but majority right now, when I did my research for the video, they already offer financing. It's usually the same price lang they're offering, or the price that you want it or you bid. Tapos, they get na lang more profit sa interest.
Yes,
So,
oo.
it's still more expensive, yeah.
Right, oo. Kasi usually sa sa nakikita namin sa mga banks ngayon, yung brand new car interest rate ay mas mababa compared sa second-hand car. Usually it's twice, no? Kasi ang mga brand new cars ngayon, you get an interest of about mga 5, 6 or 7% per annum. Yung mga second-hand cars is twice that. So mga 10 to 14% per annum. So it's quite expensive. Okay.
Yeah.
So now we've already done our due diligence. Nakapag-negotiate na tayo sa bangko. So nabili na natin. Ang next na ay contract signing and ownership transfer. So how was the experience like for you?
For the contract signing, actually it was very fast. Like, konti lang yung, especially if you already paid in full, diba? Parang they won't hassle you anymore with a lot of papers kasi they don't have to make sure na you can pay for the car. So, parang like within a week, signing na I get the deed of sale. You get a lot of papers also because from the previous owner. And then it's up to you to do the transfer of ownership na. So, for the transfer of ownership, you have to comply. First thing you have to do is they have this thing called, you have to release the chattel mortgage. So, meaning, for me kasi my car was bought in Bohol. So, it's not, it wasn't in Cebu. It was just in Cebu because Region 7 kasi kami. But, I had to mail the documents to Bohol so that they would confirm that I already paid the car and the bank doesn't have ownership of it anymore. So if you're not familiar, if you are loaning for a car, yung name sa ORCR ng car is the bank's. So encumbered siya by the bank. That's why if you can't pay for the loan, they get it back. So I think that's the hassle part lang talaga. And it was because I bought a car that was bought in Bohol. So, but other than that, the steps was pretty easy. Once you get checked that your car was not stolen, you go to the PNP usually, diba? Yung Highway Patrol Group, and then you submit all the papers, and then they confirm it already. All the papers are good. Then you go to LTO for the transfer of ownership. So that's what I did. So yeah.
Okay, nice. Okay, sige. So before we go to the next portion, no, I can see TP on the background. TP, meron ka bang tanong? I-up ka namin? Wala or meron? Ayan, sandali lang. Okay, ayan ka na. So meron o wala?
Wala naman sir, nakikinig lang ako.
Nakikinig lang. Okay, sige. Okay, sige. Okay, sige. So now let's go to, just to summarize, ano ba yung mga pros and cons of buying a second-hand car?
For me talaga. So pros muna tayo. For the pros, obviously, lower cost talaga. Like the lower prices, you typically get a great deal. And then the cars naman kasi for the second hand, especially repossessed, they're typically new. Kasi like, di ba, in the beginning of the Facebook Live, people were saying they had their loan for 2 years, 3 years, 5 years. So that's really just the typical loan length of buying a car. So you can be assured that the car you're buying in a repossessed or from a bank, they're typically new, 2 to 5 years old pa lang. So they're kind of new and in good condition. Of course, there are some exemptions. There are mga cars na get totally crashed, diba? Sira talaga. So there are some exemptions naman. So that's why you have to do your due diligence. And then another pro is that you get to deal with trustworthy sellers. You're dealing with banks. They're not gonna run away from you. They are financial institutions that have they have to uphold kasi their status, diba? Their kuan. And then next is a lot of banks, like I mentioned, offer na talaga easy financing options for
Right.
second-hand cars. Yeah.
Or second-hand car. So yun naman yung mga nakukuha natin, no? Pero ano ba yung mga ano yung mga expenses involved to bring your second-hand car back to life, so to speak? Ano yung mga baka yun lang bang pagbili yung gagastusin mo o meron pang iba?
Okay. For the second-hand cars, like I said kasi earlier, you typically get good condition, pero hindi assured. The bank will not assure you that it's in good condition, that wala talagang masisira, because they don't know also how the previous owner maintained it. So here are some repairs, or here are some expenses that you will be spending for. I actually spent for all of these sa car ko, no? I had some minor repairs, like mga busted na lamp sa car, and then so basic maintenance, the oil of the car, and then the ano ba yun, mga liquids ng car. So also I had to buy a new battery kasi the battery of when it was in the warehouse was sira talaga, like it was dead, hindi sira, but it was already dead. Kasi batteries, if you leave them out for long not being used, diba, they get drained. So I also had to buy new sets of wheels because parang sobrang used up na talaga yung wheels sa front ng cars ko. So I only bought 2 naman. Pina-exchange, yeah. So I only bought 2, and then alignment din. So those are very technical na, pero yeah, you let the car shop do those things na lang.
So,
Yeah,
mga magkano yung kailangang i-prepare for this, no? Yung additional na bringing it back to life, kumbaga.
I feel like it really depends. I personally spent around 20,000 for it. It's not the same every time kasi for example, my car had a very few minor dents lang. Pero I didn't feel like I had to get them into the car shop anymore kasi ang liit lang talaga nila. Pero if you're really OC and you wanted to make it brand new, then you would have spent around plus 10,000 more than what I did. So it would have been 30,000, di ba? So it really depends. May iba 50,000, may iba 10,000 lang kasi like bago ko lang talaga na it was, let's say it just came in last week, di ba? So the battery is good pa, it's clean pa, di ba? Everything. So it really depends talaga, yeah.
Tapos may yung temptation pa ng iba kasi, lalo na yung iba, no? Parang dinidress up nila yung car nila. Ako, I personally find it baduy. So, additional na ilalagay mo, additional na gastos.
Yeah,
it's just my taste. No? Mas gusto ko pa yung simple lang. So, doon naman tayo, no, sa cons ng buying a car. So, what are the disadvantages?
Yeah. To add lang din with what you said.
Sorry, a second-hand car pala.
Yeah. To add lang din, mostly cars actually maintain more value if you don't pimp your ride. Kasi like the next owner kasi might not like them, and it's useless for them to add all those things when they didn't really ask for it. So I had my 25-year-old car, I kept it stock, like parang stock is meaning like ano yung bigay ng all Toyota branded, yung Pisa and everything. Then it didn't maintain the value per se, pero we still got to sell it at a really good price for a 25-year-old car. So yeah, so for
actually,
the cons,
Toyota, magandang resale value ng Toyota sa experience din namin.
Yeah, actually, like reliable kasi for us, for most people. But yeah, for the cons naman for buying a second-hand car, like I said earlier, more effort talaga siya in terms of research. So, you have to be patient. But if you're saving 100,000, 150,000, di ba? Ano yung patient? Parang I think pwede na yun for your patience. So,
Mhm.
yeah. And then
Ayun.
also, like I said earlier, yung condition, it's not assured talaga 100%. So, yeah.
Mhm. Pero pwede ba yun isauli kung kunwari nung binili mo from the second hand, no? Tapos nakita mo na hindi na pala talaga gumagana yung makina nito. Pwede ba yung o no return no exchange policy sila?
No, hindi pwede. That's why I really recommend na you bring a mechanic because they know, they can already see if there's really something wrong na internally, ganon, or ang laki ng magagastos mo if you try to revive it or to make it look brand new. So,
Correct.
yeah.
So mga magkano yung iba-budget namin for the mechanic na sasama? Kasi wala kaming kaibigan. Mga magkano kaya?
Yeah. Maybe 500 to 1,000 per visit. Kasi you also, most of the time, you take up his whole day din, di ba? So, yeah. So, it depends lang. If 1 hour lang kayo, or like, ganon. So, I think it depends also with the mechanic. If he's with a, social na company, medyo mahal siguro. Or, yeah.
Pero ano naman ang masasabi mo? Kasi sa ito naman yung mga mga mapamahiin kong mga kaibigan. So I have all sorts of friends. So may mga ganyan na mga practical. Tapos meron naman yung mga mapamahiin, sasabihin nila na, naku, huwag kang bibili ng second hand kasi may bad, may bad
juju.
aura na siya. Oo, parang ganyan. So anong sinasagot mo sa mga yan? Or have you ever experienced na sinabihan ka na ganyan?
Well, I don't know. Because kami Chinese kami, ang dami naming pamahiin, diba? Pero like, personally, my family doesn't have a problem with buying second-hand cars. I think as being Chinese, we're very frugal as well. So, doon talaga kami sa cheaper option. So, yeah, I don't know. For me, practicality na din kasi. Like, there are so many pamahiin na it came from the olden times na hindi na applicable ngayon. So, parang, yeah, it really depends on your values din. So,
right. But you know what I tell them? Parang you make your own destiny eh. Parang ako, I really want to transform challenges into opportunities, ganyan. So, ito baka may nagkamalas siya kanya or no, pero ako ang kanyang magiging star, no? Para mag-brighten yung kanyang aura or something. Anyway, so balik ta rin naman natin ngayon, So, I know that you're very experienced in buying yung second-hand car. So, gumawa ako ng listahan ng rules when buying a car. So, tell me whether you agree or disagree dito sa mga ginawa ko, no? So the first one is buy second-hand car. So yan yung ating first rule. So of course, I assume na agree ka dito.
Yes.
Yes.
100%.
So yan. Kasi sabi nga natin, yun nga, kasi napakabilis siya mag-depreciate, hindi siya appreciating asset. And yun, the moment you drive it out of the lot, ay 10% na agad yung natatanggal. Okay. And then the second rule for me is save and pay in cash. So ang message ko dito is iwasan natin na bumili tayo gamit ang loan kasi dadagdag pa yung interest eh. At typically kasi kapag second hand nga, mas mataas pa yung interest na nababayaran mo. So what do you think of this rule?
Ako, for me, I would disagree. Pero not completely naman. Not completely. I think it depends if you have better use for the money. And basta it's an investment vehicle naman na grows more than your loan, then it's okay. Like in my case, like I got to borrow money that was really maliit yung interest, diba? And I invested the money na lang so that it would grow more. So I still profited a little bit, but I know not all of us can, find an opportunity like that. So yeah, better to pay in cash if ganon. So somewhat agree and disagree.
So save and pay in cash, pero tama ka talaga namang may instances talaga na kailangan natin kumuha ng loan. So if you're getting a loan for it, you should already be able to save an equal amount to the car amortization. So which means, so as much as possible, you save for it para mabili mo siya in cash. Pero kung hindi mo talaga kaya, dapat ay nakapag-practice ka na yung amortization na inihuhulog mo ay kaya mo talagang i-save at kaya mong bayaran. Para pag the time na nakuha mo yung loan na yan, sure na sure ka, hindi yung maninibago ka na, uy, ano pala, no, may babayaran pala na amortization. So what do you think of this one?
Yes, I agree with that. I actually think na if you have a loan, it should be part of your 3 to 6 months emergency fund. So, di ba? Yeah. So, since monthly recurring expenses yun na you can't really get out of, di ba? So, actually nga, for me, I believe you need at least 1 year saved up of that loan. So that if something happens, especially during this pandemic, di ba? Like, it's been already 5-6 months, di ba? So, if you, sadly, di ba, if you didn't get to pay for it, na re-repossess na talaga ng bank. So it's better if you have at least 1 year of that amount saved up para covered ka pa rin.
That's a good tip, no. Kapag ilo-loan mo, talagang ang dapat meron ka ng 1 year, no. Pag second-hand car ba from the bank, do they require na may down payment? Siguro very little lang, no. Baka 5 or 10% lang yung coupon nila.
I think if you get a typical loan, I think it's still 20% ata.
20% pa din.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah. Pero the car cost is cheaper na kasi, so it comes out cheaper.
And then Antonio, you said a while ago na you opted for buying the second-hand car because yung na-save mo na amount is actually you're going to use that amount to address a certain financial goal. So ang sabi ko dito sa next rule ko ay yung masisave mo na money, no, you have to invest that towards your financial goal. So meaning hindi mo talaga kinukuha yung sasakyan as a mere status symbol, pero talagang practical ka and you're using it as a need. And kapag ito ay ngayon, 1 million yung sasakyan, tapos yung nabili mo ay 750, hindi ibig sabihin na yung 250,000 ay you're free to splurge on that. You should have a very, very strong purpose para doon mo ilagay. So in your case, that was the condominium. So, na-capture ba yung essence dyan?
Yes. I did that exactly. So I agree with that completely.
Kaya nga ako tuwang-tuwa kasi nung nakita ko yung yung video mo, sabi ko nako, this person really knows what she wants. Very clear yung objectives, no? At yun yung lagi kong sinasabi when people come to me and ask for advice, sabi ko, ang sasabihin nila, ano ba daw magandang investment? As lagi kong sinasabi, I cannot answer that question until I know what your financial goals are or ano yung objectives mo. Kasi hindi pwedeng pare-pareho. Para akong doktor na nagbigay sa'yo ng gamot pero hindi kita chinek up. Diba?
Yeah.
So, yun. Anyway, tapos may 2 uses kasi yung car, diba? Meron tayong business use and personal use. So kapag business use ito, the business income should be able to cover the cost of the car. So that's another rule. Okay ba yan?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, sige, very straightforward. And then the other one is for personal use naman, it should be the amount that you're paying for your amortization should be the same as when you are using the public transportation. So medyo sasabihin ng iba dito, grabe naman, imposible yan, no? Kasi magkano lang yung jeep? 10 piso, ganyan, di ba? Magkano bang jeep ngayon? 10 pesos ba? Or 8 pesos pa rin?
8 ata.
8 pesos.
Yeah.
8 pesos yung pagbaba yung sa jeep. So it will never amount to with that, ano? So sabi ko, kung ganon yung sitwasyon, baka naman marami kayo sa bahay, so pwedeng pagsama-samahin yun. Pero kung hindi pa rin kaya, then you should create your passive income first that will be able to create the income to pay for the car. Kasi para sa akin, ang tingin ko nga ay, alam mo, kung uunahin mo yung comfort bago ka mag-invest at bago ka mag-create ng passive income, then you will be used to that lifestyle at hindi mo mamamaster ang expenditures. Kaya for me, yun talaga yung sa akin. So, bago magkaroon ng sasakyan, pero kung kaya mo pa namang mag-commute at mamasahe, no, gumamit ng public transportation, create muna ng passive income. Tapos pag meron ka ng passive income, that's the one that you use for the purchase of the car. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I agree because this is what I always say, no, with like because you mentioned lifestyle inflation na yan, di ba? Like before, okay lang tayo sa jeep, tapos taxi, tapos own car na. That's lifestyle inflation. For me naman, what I always say about lifestyle inflation is there's no problem with it because we really have to improve our lifestyle. That's human nature to want to improve. But
Yes.
there's a difference between getting broke just to achieve the lifestyle you want, or you
Correct.
can really truly afford it. Meaning, okay, dami mo ng extrang pera na pwede mo ibili ng kotse. That's no problem talaga. So,
Right.
yeah, I agree.
Okay, so thank you very much, Charm. No, nako, nag-enjoy ako talaga sa at marami akong natutunan. And finally, I don't know if you've already heard this, but this is the tagline that I used to end my show. Ito siya, no? Ang pagyaman na pag-aaralan. What do you think of that?
Yes, I agree. Financial literacy.
Paano yan sa Bisaya? Paano pa yan sabihin sa Bisaya?
Ito to,
Ang pagyaman na pag-aaralan.
Ang pagdato kay makatunan ra. I think I sound so
okay.
weird.
Ayun, sige. So nako, maraming salamat sa iyo, Charm, at I think marami talaga tayong natutunan sa episode natin na to, no? And if people would like to get in touch with you, how do they get in touch with you? What are your YouTube channels? Baka meron kang product or service na gustong i-promote?
Yeah, so basically, YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, and Facebook group, all across the board. You can follow me at Ready to Adult PH. So that's Ready number 2 Adult PH. So yeah, I talk about financial literacy, entrepreneurship, and other adulting how-tos. So yeah.
Okay. So thank you very much for that. At yun, sana sa susunod mag-collaborate ulit tayo. So ako, I'm more than willing to go to your channel also. Tapos tignan natin how we can do this together. At ako, very close talaga sa akin ang Mindanao at saka Visayas area. Ewan ko kung bakit, no, but I earned a lot of my wealth actually from the South. So I think my luck is in the South.
Your heart.
And ayun. So maraming salamat sa iyo, Charm, at sana ay dumami pa ang mga katulad mo kasi marami talaga mga kabataan ang dapat maging katulad mo at marami ka pang ma-inspire at matulungan. So thank you very much and amping sa inyo.
This was very fun. Thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you. Yeah. So mga kaibigan, nakita natin si Charm, no, na napaka-practical na bata, napaka-inspiring, no, at marami tayong natutunan sa kanya. So i-follow nyo siya, puntahan nyo, so Ready to Adult PH sa YouTube, at I think meron din siyang Facebook, ano. May mga mga tanong, ay mag-shoutout muna tayo para sa mga gustong magpa-shoutout. Si Leonie, watching from Macau, si Jamie, Malaysia, hello sa'yo. Si Einstein ay na-late daw. It's never too late. Einstein. Uy, si Einstein ulit. Nanonood ang mga nagmamahal sa'yo service. Yes. Thank you very much. I feel the love. Okay. Ano pa ba? Sino pa ba to? I like the idea. Si Cornelia. Thank you to you both daw. Sa Saudi Arabia naman, hindi ko makita kung anong pangalan niya, nasa Facebook group yan siya. Si Jet Rodriguez is saying na utang is utang. If you have a paid off house, will you take a loan against your home and invest it? Okay, hindi ko alam kung nagtatanong ka or you're making a statement, pero ako rin, I don't like to use the house as a collateral. So make use of another asset. So, Ricardo saying hello from Cavite. Si Chris ay nag-iipon na ngayon para makabili ng second-hand na car. For what purpose, Chris? Sana mas maganda kung ito talaga ay gagamitin natin para sa kumikitang bagay. Ano pa ba yung mga comments nyo? Sir Vince, plano ko daw bumili ng second-hand car, sabi ni May. Na delivery truck para panghakot ng palay. Alin po kaya mas maganda? Brand new na worth million o yung second hand na hindi pa masyado gamit? Okay. Based sa experience ng namin, because I work with the agricultural sector also. At kami, meron din kaming trucking business before, and I understand ang parents ko, they buy second-hand cars. Mas mura kasi talaga siya. Tapos nag-i-invest ka, kasi kami dati meron kaming, ano tawag nila doon? Carpool. Ay, hindi carpool ba yung tawag, yung sa yung kung saan namin pinaparada lahat yung mga sasakyan, tapos mayroong hina-hire talaga na in-house na mekaniko, ganyan, kasi mas mura yon kaysa bumili ka ng second hand car. Pero maganda yung idea mo, May, na panghakot ng mga palay o kaya mga ano-ano pang mga bagay. Okay, si Melody may tinag, so maraming salamat. Si Hanilet ay from Cotabato. Wow, talaga naman. At saka si Shell ay nagsasabi na love watching daw siya. Okay, sige. So maraming salamat sa ating lahat at sana nag-enjoy kayo sa ating episode ngayong gabi. At grabe, nag-araw-araw ako na live ngayon. So siguro next week lang tayo tatlong live lang. Marami po kasing mga very interesting na guests na mga pumayag sa atin. Kaya yon, samahan niyo ako ulit sa mga susunod nating episodes dito sa Usapang Pera Live. Ako si Bernie, ako si Sir Vince dito sa Pilipinas nagsasabing ang pagyaman ay napag-aaralan.